She was lured onto a family hike and pushed off a cliff, but she survived, exposed the plot, and sent them to prison at last. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows of a white suburban house in Connecticut, illuminating Jennifer in her pharmacy uniform. As she fixed her hair in front of the mirror, she sensed that another fulfilling day was about to begin. After 10 years working as a pharmacist, she felt deep satisfaction in her job supporting the health of her community. "Good morning, beautiful," came from the kitchen. Her husband worked as an engineer at a local construction company and had made it his habit to brew coffee for his wife every morning. 3 years into their marriage, their relationship had matured from the passionate love of their early days into a stable affection based on deep trust and understanding. "Thank you, honey," Jennifer said as she came down to the kitchen and accepted the warm coffee cup. "Mom might call today. We could not meet last Sunday." Kevin nodded as he added sugar to his coffee. "Your parents seemed well when we saw them last time." Jennifer's parents, Robert and Dorothy, were a typical middle-class couple who had raised their daughters with loving care. They cherished their monthly family dinners together, and Jennifer found comfort in the peaceful atmosphere of their home. "Yes, Dad has been obsessed with his gardening, and Mom seems busy with her book club." Jennifer smiled. "Amy has been spending more time with our parents lately, too." Her younger sister, Amy, had drifted between several jobs after college graduation and was currently living at home with their parents. There was not anything particularly wrong, but she seemed unable to find her path. The sisters maintained a good relationship, not especially close, but they cared for each other in the way normal sisters do. When Jennifer returned from work, she enjoyed gardening in the backyard with her husband. With spring's arrival, the flowers they had planted together were beginning to bloom beautifully. Kevin carefully tended to the roses while talking about future plans. "Next year, I would like to remodel this house's kitchen," he said, brushing dirt from his hands, "a kitchen with a larger counter where you can enjoy cooking more." "That sounds wonderful," Jennifer replied while watering the tulips. "And by then?" She smiled a bit shyly. "Maybe we will have a little addition to our family." Kevin's face lit up. From the beginning of their marriage, they had both looked forward to having children. While they did not have concrete plans yet, they both held expectations about becoming parents. On a weekend evening, Jennifer visited her parents' home. Amy joined them and the family of 4 gathered around Dorothy's home cooking. The conversation was pleasant, with Robert enthusiastically talking about the pottery class he had recently started, and Dorothy sharing her thoughts about books she had read in the neighborhood book club. "Jennifer seems as busy as ever," Dorothy said, looking at her daughter's face. "But you look happy, and that is what matters most. Kevin is such a wonderful husband." Jennifer smiled. "Every day is fulfilling and I feel truly blessed." Amy quietly continued eating, occasionally nodding to her sister's story. There was no particular emotion visible in her expression, as she naturally participated in the family conversation. That night, Jennifer and Kevin reflected on their day while watching a movie in their living room. The fireplace warmly illuminated the room, and the two felt comfortable in each other's presence as they snuggled under a blanket. "It was another good day," Kevin said, holding his wife's hand. "Yes, it really was." Jennifer rested her head on her husband's shoulder. "Everyone in our family is healthy. We have stable jobs and we love each other. What more could we ask for?" Outside the window, the quiet residential neighborhood spread out in the night. Streetlights gently illuminated the roads, and a dog's bark could be heard in the distance. It was a peaceful scene of a typical American middle-class family's happy evening without a care in the world. Jennifer realized how blessed they were: a loving husband, an understanding family, meaningful work. While life sometimes brought difficulties, their days were basically smooth and happy. Tomorrow, she would head to work at the pharmacy again, looking forward to spending the evening with her husband. In the second week of May, Jennifer's cell phone rang with a call from her mother during a busy afternoon at the pharmacy. Dorothy's voice contained an unusual excitement. "Jennifer, I have a wonderful idea." Her mother's voice was animated. "Why do we not all go hiking as a family? Your father and I have been feeling out of shape lately, and we would love to spend a day in beautiful nature." Jennifer answered while checking prescriptions. "That is a lovely idea, Mom. I think Kevin would be delighted too. When were you thinking? How about next Saturday? According to the weather forecast, it is supposed to be perfectly sunny. Amy is all for it and has already started researching locations. That evening, Jennifer shared her mother's proposal with Kevin. Her husband looked up from his newspaper with a smile. That is a wonderful idea. We have been indoors a lot lately, so exercising while breathing fresh air sounds perfect. Kevin stood up and pulled a hiking guidebook from the bookshelf. Where are you planning to go? Amy is researching it for us. She will give us the details tomorrow. The next evening, Amy called with unusually energetic enthusiasm as she began explaining the detailed plans. I found a trail course at Mount Tom State Park. It is an intermediate course that takes about 3 hours round trip with a beautiful waterfall and observation deck along the way. Amy's voice carried an enthusiasm Jennifer had not heard in a long time. The view from the observation deck is supposed to be spectacular. You can see the entire Connecticut River basin. Jennifer was a bit surprised by her sister's proactive attitude. Amy was usually passive about family gatherings and rarely made suggestions. Thank you for researching it so thoroughly. We are looking forward to it. And Amy lowered her tone slightly. I will prepare the lunch too, so do not worry. I will make everyone's favorite sandwiches. Over the weekend, Jennifer and Kevin headed to an outdoor equipment store. They purchased hiking boots and lightweight backpacks along with water bottles and a first aid kit. The middle-aged female clerk, who seemed like an experienced hiker, gave them careful advice. Mount Tom State Park is a beautiful place. The clerk smiled. The view from the observation deck is especially wonderful. But please be very careful near the cliffs. Cliffs? Jennifer asked with some concern. The observation deck is on top of rocky cliffs. There are safety barriers, but you still need to be cautious. But the scenery really is breathtakingly beautiful. After returning home, Jennifer called her parents. Robert answered the phone, but his voice had an unusually tired quality. Dad, are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? No, I am fine. Robert cleared his throat. I just have not been sleeping well for a few days, but I am really looking forward to the hiking trip. Then Dorothy took the phone. Her mother's voice also seemed a bit more subdued than usual. Are you tired too, Mom? Not at all. Dorothy quickly denied it. Amy has been making plans and we have been helping with preparations. I am happy that we will have time to spend together as a family after so long. After hanging up, Jennifer told Kevin about her parents' condition. Dad and Mom have seemed a bit strange lately. They sound tired and lack their usual energy. Kevin looked up from his newspaper with a thoughtful expression. It might be age-related, but maybe they have some worries. Worries? I do not know. But lately I have had a feeling about something too. Kevin spoke as if choosing his words carefully. The other day when I was talking with your mother, she started to say something about us, then stopped mid-sentence. Jennifer frowned. What kind of conversation? I do not remember the details, but she seemed like she wanted to say something about our future. But your father changed the subject. On Wednesday night, Amy visited the couple's house alone. This was unusual. Normally her sister would call ahead before coming or only visited during family gatherings. I need to talk to you about something. Amy sat in the living room appearing somewhat nervous. What is it? Jennifer sat next to her sister. It is about the hiking trip. I want to change the course. Amy clasped her hands together. I would like to make the route a bit more challenging and spend more time at the observation deck. Kevin returned from the kitchen and joined the conversation. What kind of change? I want to take a slight detour to the observation deck. Going through a route with better scenery, Amy spread out a map. That way, we can all spend more special time together as a family. Jennifer studied the map. The new route did seem to offer better views, but it looked like a somewhat more difficult path. Will it not be a bit too strenuous for Mom and Dad? It will be fine, Amy stated definitively. They are both healthy, and if we walk slowly, there will not be any problems. Besides, the time at the observation deck is the main purpose of this trip. That night, after Amy left, Jennifer talked with Kevin. Do you not think my sister was acting a bit strange? Kevin thought silently. She was certainly more proactive than usual. But maybe she is just looking forward to spending time with the family. Maybe so. But Jennifer felt uneasy lately. I feel like the whole family's atmosphere has somehow changed. How so? I cannot put my finger on it, but it feels like everyone is keeping a bit of distance from us. Jennifer gazed out the window. Maybe it is just my imagination. Saturday morning, the sky shone a cloudless blue. Jennifer woke early, filled her water bottle with cold water, and applied sunscreen while looking forward to the family hiking trip. Kevin was also preparing the car with light steps, and both were excited about the long-awaited time with family. At 9 o'clock, they arrived at her parents' house right on time. Robert and Dorothy were waiting at the front door, dressed in hiking clothes. However, Jennifer sensed subtle tension in her parents' expressions. Instead of their usual warm smiles, there was something artificial, an unnatural brightness. "Good morning, Dad." "Mom," Jennifer kissed her parents. "What beautiful weather." "Yes, it is a perfect day," Dorothy replied, but there was a slight tremor in her voice. Amy appeared from the back door. She carried a large backpack and held a detailed map in her hands. In her eyes was a strong determination that Jennifer had never seen before. "Is everyone ready?" Amy's voice was bright but somehow mechanical. "Today is going to be a special day." The five of them headed to Mount Tom State Park in 2 cars. Jennifer and Kevin led the way, followed by her parents and Amy. During the drive, Kevin talked about the scenery, but Jennifer occasionally checked the car behind them in her rearview mirror. She could see her sister talking seriously about something from the driver's seat. Upon arriving at the park's parking lot, Amy immediately spread out the map and began explaining the route. "First, we will walk along a gentle forest path, and after about 1 hour, we will reach a small waterfall." She traced the path with her finger. "We will rest there briefly, then head to the observation deck. The path to the observation deck is a bit steep, but the view from the top is supposed to be truly wonderful." The hike began. The first hour was indeed a beautiful forest trail. The fresh green leaves gently filtered the sunlight, and birds chirped pleasantly. Robert and Dorothy initially exclaimed at the beauty of nature, but gradually became quiet. When they reached the small waterfall, the family sat in a circle and ate the sandwiches Amy had prepared. However, the conversation was unnaturally awkward, far from the usual warm family atmosphere. Jennifer tried to start conversations several times, but everyone's responses were cold, and she began to feel increasingly anxious. Just a little more to the observation deck, Amy stood up and shouldered her backpack. "The final climb is a bit steep, but let us do our best." The path to the observation deck was indeed steep. The trail winding between rocks was sometimes slippery, and Jennifer worried about her parents' safety. However, both Robert and Dorothy climbed with surprisingly careful and sure footing, as if they had walked this path before. "Dad, Mom, are you okay?" Jennifer called out breathlessly. "Do not worry," Robert answered without looking back. "We are almost there." 30 minutes later, they finally reached the observation deck. The view from the observation deck set on the cliff's edge was indeed breathtakingly beautiful. The Connecticut River meandered through the landscape, and distant mountains appeared hazy. However, Jennifer focused more on the danger of this location than on the beautiful scenery. While the observation deck's edge was indeed surrounded by safety barriers, the cliff's height was considerable. "What a wonderful view," Jennifer said as she approached the barrier. "But this place really is high." Kevin also stood beside her and looked down. Quite a height. If someone fell, he swallowed his words. At that moment, Jennifer noticed something strange. The other 3 family members were lined up behind her and Kevin. Moreover, they had completely different expressions than usual. Amy's eyes held cold determination, and her parents' faces had hardened like stone. "Amy, Dad, Mom." Jennifer turned around. "What is wrong?" There was no response. Instead, Amy stepped forward. "Jennifer." Amy's voice was ice cold. "There is something I have wanted to say for a long time." "What?" "If you were gone, everything would work out perfectly." In that moment, Jennifer understood. But by the time she understood, it was too late. Amy pushed her back hard with both hands while Robert and Dorothy simultaneously rushed toward Kevin. "Jennifer!" Kevin's cry echoed across the cliff. The two of them went over the safety barrier and tumbled down the rocky cliff. Jennifer hit her back violently against a rock partway down, almost losing her breath. Kevin also struck his head on a large rock and blood flowed. The two fell onto a narrow rocky ledge partway down the cliff and could not move. From above, they could hear their families' voices. "Let us check," came Amy's cold voice, "whether they are definitely dead." Jennifer was dazed from the pain, but she heard Kevin whisper in her ear, "Do not move." Her husband's voice was shaking but clear. "Keep pretending to be dead. Hold your breath." Jennifer followed her husband's instructions and stopped moving completely. The pain was intense, but she somehow managed to minimize her breathing. They could hear footsteps from above, and pebbles fell down. They could tell the family was looking down the cliff. "They are not moving." Amy's satisfied voice carried on the wind. Is this really what we should have done?" Dorothy's trembling voice was carried by the wind. "Mom, have you forgotten what we discussed?" Amy's voice was harsh. "This was the only way for you to become parents to me alone." After a moment of silence, the footsteps moved away. Jennifer and Kevin remained motionless until complete silence returned. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then 30 minutes passed. "I think it is okay now." Kevin finally spoke, "But still keep your voice low." Jennifer sat up trembling. Her whole body ached with particularly severe pain in her back and shoulders. Blood flowed from Kevin's forehead, but fortunately his consciousness was clear. "Kevin," Jennifer's voice became tearful. Why did our family try to?" "I will explain," Kevin said while supporting her. "But first, we need to escape from here, and there is a truth you need to know." On the rocky ledge, Jennifer looked at Kevin's injured face. She gently wiped the blood flowing from her husband's forehead with her shirt sleeve. Her head was not working clearly from pain and confusion. But one thing was certain. Kevin knew something. "Tell me," Jennifer said in a trembling voice. "What do you know?" Kevin took a deep breath and began speaking while enduring the pain. "For 3 months, I have been observing Amy's abnormal behavior." He spoke in a small voice. "At first I thought it was just sisterly jealousy, but it gradually escalated." "What kind of behavior?" "When you did not know, I saw Amy visiting your parents' house several times. During weekday afternoons when you were working, she was going to your family home almost daily." Kevin shook his head. "At first, I thought it was being a good daughter." Jennifer frowned. She had no idea that Amy had been visiting their parents so frequently. "One day when I came home early from work, I happened to overhear Amy talking on the phone with your mother." Kevin's voice became even quieter. "She had parked her car in front of our house and was making the call." "What were they talking about?" "Amy was crying and saying, 'Because Jennifer exists, I have become invisible. If I were an only child, Dad and Mom would love only me,'" Kevin continued. Jennifer gasped. She had never imagined her sister felt that way, but that is not all. Kevin continued. "When your mother said, 'But Jennifer is our precious daughter too,' Amy became furious. She screamed, 'Precious daughter? Jennifer has left us and built her own life. If she were gone, our parents could focus only on me. I am the daughter who truly needs our parents.'" Jennifer covered her mouth with her hand. She was gradually beginning to understand the meaning of her sister's words. What did Mom answer then? At first, she was opposed, but Amy seemed to repeat the same conversation daily. "I saw your father and mother looking exhausted several times, and recently their attitude began to change, how they started subtly keeping distance from you. Conversations became shorter and they lost their previous warmth." Kevin tried to sit up while enduring the pain. "Amy was mentally cornering your parents and brainwashing them." "Then why did not you tell me?" Jennifer asked tremblingly. "I did not want to worry you. Besides, I never thought it would really come to this." Kevin showed a regretful expression. "I underestimated the situation. I never imagined Amy was such a calculating and dangerous person." At that moment, stones fell from above. The two held their breath and listened carefully. They could hear footsteps. "They are back," Kevin whispered. From above the cliff, Amy's voice could be heard. "Let us check whether they are really dead." "Amy, let us stop this," came Dorothy's weak voice. "What if they are still alive?" "There is no way they are alive." Amy's voice was ruthless. "But we need to check just in case. Dad, do you have rope?" Jennifer and Kevin looked at each other. If the family came down the cliff, there was nowhere to hide. "Jennifer," Kevin whispered with determination, "we have to escape. Let us move sideways along this ledge and find another path." The two began carefully moving along the rocky ledge. Their bodies ached, but survival instinct prevailed. Fortunately, the ledge was wider than expected and continued along the cliff face. After moving for about 10 minutes, they found a safer slope. Kevin descended first and supporting Jennifer. The two carefully made their way down. "Cell phone?" Jennifer asked. Kevin checked his pocket. "Got it. But the signal is weak." A few minutes later, they finally got a signal. Kevin called 911 with shaking hands. 30 minutes later, they could hear police sirens. Jennifer and Kevin were slowly walking toward the park's parking lot. Their bodies ached, but they could walk. When they arrived at the parking lot, police officers had surrounded Robert, Dorothy, and Amy. The three wore confused expressions, and Amy was desperately making excuses. "Officer, this is a misunderstanding. We are looking for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. They went missing during the hike." Then, Jennifer and Kevin appeared. Silence fell over the parking lot. Amy's face turned pale and her parents looked stunned. "Jennifer!" Amy's voice was shaking. "You are alive!" "How?" One of the police officers stepped forward. "Are you the victims?" "Yes," Jennifer answered tearfully. "We were pushed off a cliff by our family." Dorothy almost collapsed. "Jennifer, I am so sorry." What have we done?" Robert also said in a trembling voice. Amy said, what Amy was saying was, "Dad, Mom, be quiet." Amy suddenly shouted, "Do not say anything." As the police officer handcuffed Amy, he said, "You are under arrest for attempted murder." Dorothy and Robert were also handcuffed as accomplices. They looked at their daughters while crying. "Jennifer, forgive us," Dorothy said through tears. "We were brainwashed." Amy said the same thing every day. Every day. "Be quiet." Amy glared at her mother. Everything was supposed to go according to plan. An ambulance arrived, and Jennifer and Kevin were taken to the hospital. Fortunately, neither had serious injuries, just bruises and mild concussions. In the hospital bed, Jennifer gripped Kevin's hand tightly. "We survived," she whispered. "Yes," Kevin smiled gently. "And the truth has come to light. Your family was not really family. True family consists of people who love and protect each other." Jennifer nodded while shedding tears. 6 months later, the final verdict was handed down in the Connecticut District Court. Jennifer and Kevin sat in the front row of the gallery, gripping each other's hands tightly. Their physical wounds had healed completely, but their emotional wounds were still in the process of healing. The judge read the verdict in a solemn voice. "For defendant Amy Lawrence, for the crime of attempted murder, I sentence you to 15 years in prison. Additionally, based on the results of psychiatric evaluation, I order mandatory psychiatric treatment at a treatment facility." Amy sat expressionlessly at the defendant's table. After 6 months of detention and psychiatric evaluation, she had been diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. According to doctors' testimony, Amy's prospects for recovery were extremely low, and social reintegration would be difficult. For defendants Robert Lawrence and Dorothy Lawrence, for the crime of aiding attempted murder, I sentence each to 5 years in prison, suspended for 3 years. However, you are required to perform 2 years of community service and attend psychiatric counseling. Jennifer felt complex emotions hearing her parents' sentence. There was anger, of course, but she also felt deep sadness. The psychiatric evaluation had proven that her parents' judgment had been severely impaired by long-term psychological manipulation. Dorothy, in particular, had her reality perception significantly damaged by her daughter's skillful brainwashing. As they left the courtroom, Dorothy walked toward Jennifer. The woman who had once been a loving mother was now devastated by deep regret and despair. "Jennifer." Dorothy's voice was weak, "but I want you to know that you are still my real daughter, and I still love you." Jennifer looked at her mother but did not respond. She could not forgive, but she was also tired of continuing to hate. "Mom," Jennifer finally spoke, "I can no longer think of you as family, but I hope you will find peace of mind someday." Dorothy nodded through tears and left the courtroom with Robert. Their figures looked completely different from the dignified parents they once were. They had been completely isolated from the community and abandoned by friends and relatives. That evening, Jennifer and Kevin sat quietly in their backyard. The flowers they had planted 6 months ago were blooming beautifully, radiating new vitality. "It is really over today." Jennifer rested her head on her husband's shoulder. "Yes, legally," Kevin gently stroked his wife's hair. "But our new life has already begun." During these 6 months, the two had thought deeply about the meaning of true family. They had learned painfully that blood relations do not automatically guarantee love or loyalty. Instead, they understood that chosen relationships, bonds based on mutual respect and trust, create real family. "Michael and Sarah are coming to the wedding next month, are they not?" Jennifer smiled. Michael and Sarah were close friend couples who had supported Jennifer and Kevin during this difficult time. Though not blood-related, they loved and protected the two like true siblings. Additionally, pharmacy colleagues and neighbors had provided warm support. "We are truly blessed," Kevin said. "Surrounded by our chosen family," Jennifer nodded. "Family not bound by blood. People who cherish each other and support one another in difficult times. This is what real family is." Beyond the garden, they could hear Mrs. Johnson playing with her grandchildren next door. It was the sound of ordinary but peaceful daily life. "I have been thinking about the future," Jennifer said quietly. "When we become parents, I want to teach our children what real love is like, that you do not have to obey unconditionally just because you are blood-related." "That is a wonderful thought." Kevin embraced his wife. "Our children will be raised with love and respect." As night deepened, the two looked up at the starry sky. The pain of the past would not disappear, but hope for the future was definitely sprouting. Released from the curse of blood ties, the two had begun walking a new life based on true love and trust. They understood from the bottom of their hearts that chosen family bound by the strongest bonds was the truest family of all.